Hello everyone, so welcome to part 4 of this series about overview of advertisement management. And we're going to talk now about the advertising management process. So, the advertisement management process has 3 main steps. We typically start by defining our advertisement strategy, budget, objectives, media, message, so on. After the advertisement strategy is created, we create a strategy implementation, a strategy that will help us to implement the things we just defined in a way that is efficient and that in a way as well, obviously, that makes our goals become a reality. Once that is done and once the strategy has been implemented and the campaign is running, you need another strategy to assess the ad effectiveness. In other words, to make sure that the ads that you created actually reach the objectives that you wanted them to reach. Without measuring the results of your advertisement campaign, you cannot know if your advertisements were a success or not. So, the advertisement function can be created in 3 different ways. You might decide to create all your advertisement in-house as an in-house operation. In other words, that you create everything by your own in your company. You might decide on the other extreme to outsource completely the advertisement efforts and have a full-service advertisement agency take care of it. In other words, they do everything for you when it comes to advertisement. The third option is to have something more in the middle. You purchase only certain services as you need, and we typically call this the a la carte mode. In other words, it's like a menu. You only choose what you want to consume. So we're going to talk about the advantages and disadvantages of each one of them. Let's start by identifying the top the top ad agencies in the world. Now, this is statistics for 2015 and in millions, and this is the top 10. You probably recognize some of them. But most of these companies is not companies that you hear on a normal basis on daily conversations, all right? Some of these companies are really big, and most of them, as you probably realize, are located in New York City, in the state of New York in the US, but they all have offices all over the world. This is just their headquarters, so it does not mean they're just located in that country. Now, many of these companies are owned by bigger groups, all right, and those are what you see over there under parentheses. Some of those companies maybe you never heard: WPP, Omnicom, Interpublic, Accenture, Omnicom. So indeed, there are many companies here. If you notice, Omnicom is one of the biggest ones because they are the holding company of 3 of the top 10 advertisement companies in the world. Now, in-house advertisement can have many advantages, but it can also have many disadvantages. I would say the first characteristic of it is that when you do everything in-house, you need to employ a lot of stuff. And because you employ a lot of staff, that means that you're going to have a lot of costs. So in-house advertisement, or 100% advertisement done in-house, is unprofitable unless the company does a very large amount of advertisement throughout the year, and therefore those costs then would make more sense. The advantage is that you keep full control of your advertisement process and that no outside company will know your details of planning your advertisement, and that can be a good thing. Full service advertisement agencies, on the other hand, okay, they have advantages and disadvantages. The top 3 advantages: they typically have a very in-depth knowledge and skills about advertisement. And typically new businesses trying to do everything on their own don't have that. These companies have a variety of clients and experiences that the typical company cannot match. Number 2, they have a lot of negotiating muscle with media, which means they can negotiate better prices with media for advertisement. So this means that typically a company that goes through an agency sometimes can have cheaper prices than going directly to different media outlets. Number 3 is that they can coordinate your advertising and marketing efforts very well, which means that they would make advertisement that goes in line with the marketing strategy that your company is. But there are disadvantages. Well, the first disadvantage is because you're giving this function to someone else, you're obviously going to lose some control. The second one, and I would say one of the biggest ones, is that these companies tend to give priority to the larger customers. So if you are a small business, and even though you are paying the price and the fees that they ask, you might be kind of put in a sideline because a bigger company showed up. And third, sometimes they can be inefficient on their media buying. Because they have better deals with media, they might receive better commissions to do advertisement in certain medias rather than others. So they might make a decision that is better for them, but not necessarily for the customer. When you have an a la carte option, this also has advantages and disadvantages. The first advantage is that you only use services that are needed. So you only need to use the services that you don't have in your business. This also gives you an ability to have a higher caliber of creative talent because you're going to be mixing outside blood with, let's say, the staff on your own company. So you're going to have perspectives from inside the company, outside the company, and this can create a lot of creativity for your ads. And finally, you can have a very good cost efficiency and actually save a lot of money with this option. On the other hand, specialists will tend to approach clients with a stereotyped fashion. In other words, seeing that you are, for example, in luxury or in hotels, they might approach you as their experience with all the other brands that are in the same industry, even though we know that sometimes within the same industry, different brands have very different perspectives. The second one is a lot of lack of cost accountability. When you hire a consultant, for example, it's very hard to know exactly how many hours, for example, did he spend on a specific project. And therefore, it can be complicated to have a task accountability, especially if it's the first time you're hiring these kind of people and you don't really have experience on it. And finally, for smaller hotels or for smaller businesses and smaller boutiques of ad agencies, it can have some financial instability. A lot of these contracts are made for 6 months or 1 year, but a lot can happen in that period and the agency might go bankrupt, which would lead to you losing the money you have actually spent on the contract. So all the free options in-house, full service or a la carte have different perspectives. All of them have advantages and disadvantages on how to conduct business. But overall, I would say that it will depend a lot on your business, on your objectives, and the budget that you have to know what is the best option for you. Take a careful consideration into all of them, because a lot of times, remember, you have information that you should not be giving to outside agencies about your business. Thank you very much for watching the video. Let me know if you have any questions on the comment section below.